Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
All right, I'm sure you guys are scrolling through social media reaction from yesterday. Just this morning, Colorado truck driver guy, Vikings fan.
All right.
Another meaningless statistic from KOC's butt kisser. This is from Amalthea. It's time to acknowledge KOC is not the guy for this job.
Wow.
Are any of us going to go that far on our hottest Vikings takes to fire KOC's ass after one loss?
I will not be going there. No, I will not
Fire
be
his
going there.
ass? No? Okay.
Nor do I mean, the pie chart of blame will reveal the true criminals of yesterday's loss to the Vikings. Don't get me wrong, but no, I'm not calling for his job.
Okay.
Nor Kwesi's job.
Put him on the hot seat, though, after one loss. Before we get to our hottest Vikings takes, Judd's pie chart of blame, the first pie chart of blame since last December. Yeah. Let's take a morning trip to Kwik Trip here. Let's do it right now, Judd.
Start of a new week means there's lots of things that you could possibly need. It also means you might be tired from a festive weekend, and this is where Kwik Trip comes in because, you know, like let's say that you need some groceries, but you're like, I do not feel like going to a grocery store. Well, look right here. This is not a grocery store. This is a Kwik Trip, a convenience store that really is a grocery store. The Karuba coffee is outstanding, a great way to wake up any day of the week. Pizzas and so much more available. If you want a snack, yeah, that's great. But if you want breakfast, lunch, or dinner, Kwik Trip is also the answer. And if you don't have time to go inside, that's okay. Put the app on your phone like Declan does. Get it delivered to you, and you don't even have to go inside. Kwik Trip, making your life easier one trip at a time.
I have a really dumb question. Will they, like, let's say Declan runs out of gas because he takes it too far, like, and he's, he's in his drive. Will they bring you a gas canister? Or not that far?
No. I don't. No, okay. I don't think so. And
I'll test that theory later this week.
Yeah. Let us know. But I think you still have to be on the premises of the Kwik Trip. So I guess in theory they could bring you the container.
So they bring. Okay, I got you.
And then like if you wanted to Larry David, like, hey, would you mind filling that up for me? And then putting the gas in the tank. It's a whole thing. Yeah. I got a bad foot. You don't want to get out of the car. I don't know.
Okay, looking at Declan right now is really weird.
I hate it. She loves it. My wife is so happy, and I am so sad.
I just realized how weird. I mean, I think I had just grown so accustomed to the stash.
Yeah, the Tom Selleck was, it was like full 80s Tom Selleck.
No offense, but I would call that, with the stash, the grown-up Declan. Like it gave you a certain quality, an adult grown-up quality.
I feel like he looked like a 42-year-old hipster with the mustache, and now he looks like, I don't know, like a fresh out of college intern or something.
Yeah,
there's like a 15 to 20 year age gap between what he looks like mustache versus no.
And I will say this in all sincerity, it worked for you. Like it really did work for you.
I know
like at first I'm like, it's sort of okay, but then it grew in, and I'm like, oh no, this is how Declan is supposed to look as an adult. Casey and I have very different views of this one.
Who's Casey?
Who is Casey? You mean Kelsey?
Kelsey.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I'm not seeing a Casey.
My bad. That
Kelsey. I know of.
My bad. No, it's early on Monday. I tried to get some extra sleep. I would like to.
Judd took a stab at remembering someone's name there.
Yeah, and it didn't work.
Declan's wife.
Yeah, Kelsey. I missed up a couple letters. Come on.
I was looking through the comments. I called her
John or something.
Casey in the comments? Or
I thought that's where you were going. There's someone in the comments section.
It's not like I called her, but it's not like I called, said it was Ted or something like that, or I didn't get the name wrong completely. I was very close, but yeah.
Well, we love all the wives on the show. Your wife, Debbie, and my wife, Julia.
I'm Team Declan on the stash. It was great.
All right. So, Judd's got the pie chart here. So Dex, why don't you let's go Dex, Judd, and then I'll bat third here for the hottest Vikings takes. Does that work for you guys?
Yes, it does. Absolutely, it does. I'll fire up the tunes here.
Oh,
all right. Here comes Dennis with his hottest take here. Dennis with his hottest take. All right.
Come on, Larry.
So here's my hottest take.
Let's go, Bob.
The Vikings are in a must-win situation against the Rams.
Okay.
Thursday Night Football is a must-win.
Whoa!
It's a must-win. Let me explain why. On the Hottest Take segment, by the way, they're 5-1.
Brad, come on.
They've exceeded expectations. Okay, Jill, 1 second. However, they are already one loss in the division to the Lions. They're in a crowded NFC North, which is the best division in football. Packers won again yesterday. Packers have also beat the Rams this season. Vikings lose. Does create a little bit more chaos for seeding. Sam Darnold, a lot to prove in this game. He's posted sub-50 QBRs in back-to-back games. He has just one touchdown pass in the last 10 quarters. Even if it's a short week and the odds are stacked against you, Darnold has to prove what he's accomplished is legitimate, and he's not turning into a pumpkin. And there's no going to Nick Mullins as a backup, people. That's not an option. That's not a break glass in case of emergency. That is we are going down, and I guess Nick Mullins is going to try to do it. That's not something you want to get down to. And we know how things go if the Vikings lose this game. Okay, people start doubting the Vikings even more. You start wondering internally if what you've accomplished is even a little bit fraudulent as well. You can't rely on defensive touchdowns to bail you out. You can't consistently settle for field goals in plus territory. This is a must-win game. It should be treated as a must-win game. And even if the losing result is a 5-2 football team, a win in a short week against a Rams team that won a Super Bowl a few years ago with one of probably the best head coaches in the NFC, and even with the schedule lightening up in November, that's great. That's phenomenal. Don't treat this as a security blanket. Don't treat this as house money. Go into LA and beat the Rams and treat it as a must-win and move to 6-1. That's why I think this game is a must-win situation for the Vikings.
I understand that the umbrella over this segment is Hottest Vikings Takes, and so like Judd has walked into like the Twitter storm with some of these clips in the last couple weeks. But if they lose this game, they will still have, I think, one of the 5 best records in the NFL. Right? The entire NFC West has 3 losses or 4.
Yeah, the North has 3 teams that are almost certainly going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, the
At least
NFC
3.
South, everyone has 2, 3, 5, 6 losses. NFC East, and Jaden Daniels just went down too. Everyone has at least 2 losses. And then over in the AFC, every team has at least 2 losses except for the 6-0 Chiefs. So if they lose this game, they will still have, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, there's like 6 other teams with 2 losses right now. I'm just saying. If they lose this game, they're still going to the playoffs. So I think it depends on, it's a must-win game in what context. If you think they're a Super Bowl team, it's a must-win game. I'm not putting that pressure on Thursday. I know it's Hottest Vikings Takes, but
I would like to see them bounce back after a very tough loss to a Lions team. That's a very good team. And with the Packers beating the Rams, seeding becomes weirder. Beat an NFC team. Don't make things complicated come playoff time. That could literally settle things up between having to go on the road or having to be the 4 seed or 7 seed. That does matter come playoff time. So
okay, to
Rams.
that point,
I do get that point, yeah.
If the bar is, because we've kind of said for really decades, like following this team, the path to a Super Bowl is play home games. Don't wind up in Philadelphia in the NFC Championship game. Don't wind up in New Orleans where things can get weird, right? So yeah, okay. If it's you must get the number 1 seed, get a bye, and play home games throughout the bracket. Okay.
Yeah. No, okay. I get your vibe because, the thing is, the division's just so damn good, too. And I mean, let's just say you're going to make the playoffs, but let's say you finish behind the Lions in Green Bay. Well, then you put yourself in a real, I mean, are you going to get near or sniff the Super Bowl? Probably not. So at first I was like, whoa. And then I lightened up and thought, okay, I sort of get the point here. I mean, the conference, it's really weird. The conference is not great by any means, except your division is. So it's like around the conference, it's like, okay, San Fran has got everybody hurt. I don't even know if they're a playoff team now. The East is not great, but your
Falcons
division
got smoked at home by the Seahawks.
Yeah, Kirk left at the end of the game. Some people said it was because the game was out of reach. Some people tweeted it was because it looked like a benching.
I think it was out of reach, right? Wasn't it like 3
was
touchdowns?
It was like 34-13. There was 3 minutes left.
I prefer to call it a benching.
Okay.
Trying to stir up some QB controversy there.
Twitter, man. Twitter's so
in the
easy.
ATL.
Twitter is so easy.
Okay. All right, Judd.
Okay, I saw enough yesterday to say this because, in the smaller view of things, this is a disappointing loss, and we'll talk about that. There were a lot of small things that this was an eminently winnable game, but I also say it was a very winnable game against what I think we can all agree right now is the best team in the entire conference. So here's my hottest take, and we've discussed this before, but I'm not prepared to pull the trigger. Trade deadline Tuesday, November 5th, 2 Tuesdays from tomorrow. The Vikings should trade their 2025 first round pick, their 2026 first round pick, and a 2026 third round pick for nose tackle Dexter Lawrence.
Yes.
Who wants to get out of a losing environment. And let me just quickly, before we discuss, set the scene here, okay? Because I know that there's, our guy Thor is going to bristle, and a lot of people are like, you cannot, what are you doing? What are you doing, sports dad? You can't remember Declan's wife's name. You came close, but you can't remember it. And now...
You got like 3 of the letters right.
Yeah,
if you had it with a K. Did you have Casey with a K or Casey with a C?
I didn't even think of that.
I'll give you the K for credit.
I didn't even think of that.
We started with the right letter.
But the point was, I've just gotten names
there was
wrong
an S in there
across the board. But anyway, so let me set the tone for why I say this, because it's not just a 2024 thing. Although I saw enough. I mean, Detroit's the type of team, if not the team, it probably is, that you're going to have to get through if you want to get to New Orleans in February, right? And there was a lot of things that we saw yesterday, and we could debate Darnold and can he even get you there and blah, 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 and that's fine. But what I saw up front, secondary as well, but I tend to agree with Phil from Ventline. I think it starts up front, is you just have no interior push in a league where a lot of the best teams do. And Dexter Lawrence is going to be expensive. I don't even know if you can get him, but I just offered up a lot for him. He's 27, or he will turn 27 on November the 12th. He is signed through 2027. In other words, when your winning window supposedly opens. The Giants are 2-5 and a complete mess. And he completely changes the personality of your defense. And now you've got Van Ginkel, been great. Grenard, been great. And now you've got an interior rush. I saw enough yesterday in a conference that is, again, has a really good division, but it's not deep beyond that. I saw enough yesterday to advocate for, I think you grab the opportunity by the horns. You've been presented it a year before, but you still only have one loss. And yes, you can say, but Judd, what about 2025 and 2026? Judd, what about those years? And I would say this. One, Dexter Lawrence is still on your team. He's about to turn 30, I think, in 27. And secondly, you can't count on the type of start that the Vikings had this year. You have 5 wins banked. No one can take those wins away from you. You barely lost to the best team in the conference. What do you need? What can you do beyond cleanup mistakes to improve that team? The answer to the question resides out east in New Jersey at MetLife Stadium, and his name is Dexter Lawrence.
I do have a hot take, but I'm gonna sneak a secondary hottest take in.
Very smart. Lean back in the third as the third guy, and now you've got a cover 2 hot take.
Right, it's great because everyth's kind of underneath, and you guys have already kind of shown pre-snap.
Declan threw short. I threw a little bit beyond that, and now you're like, hold on.
My secondary hottest take is that Judd offering up 2 first-round picks in a third is not even a hot take. That this is, I mean, it is a hot take, but like,
right, I got you.
Because there's a lot of people that would, Thor included, smart people that would say this would be foolish. But to your point, even if this is a surprise contention season, you don't get many guaranteed opportunities to be sitting 90% chance at the playoffs in the middle of October. Some of the chief rivals that you would see in the NFC, the 49ers, are decimated. The Eagles and the Cowboys are grinding just to make the playoffs. So it's like, I would say 3 of the main teams that you were looking at a year ago at the top of the NFC bracket, which are Eagles, Cowboys, and 49ers, have all taken a decided step back. I know the Eagles won yesterday in New York and Saquon went off, but like that team is flawed and much closer to firing a head coach than they are going to the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. So you start to look around the NFC. The Lions are the team to beat in the NFC right now, but you just played them back and forth, haymaker for haymaker. And if you were to add a Dexter Lawrence, so take away Aiden Hutchinson, they still beat you. If you add a Dexter Lawrence to this defense and play the Lions and the rest of your schedule, it's a level up. He is, and you mentioned, he doesn't even turn 30 until 2027. He is emerging into his prime. He is one of the, now that Aaron Donald's gone, he's one of the premier interior pressure pass rushers and a run stuffer. He wrecks games. And so you'd have to make a decision on this and say, is it more valuable for us to sort of slow cook into a window of 2025-26, nail a couple first-round picks, or do you go full Rams, screw those picks, and just add one of the best 26-year-old defenders to a pile of already really good players on defense? And yeah, and you mentioned the conversation on Ventline yesterday. A lot of people turning their attention toward the secondary and the cornerback play. It all starts up front. The Vikings are pressuring quarterbacks at, I think, the second highest rate in the NFL because they're blitzing at the second highest rate in the NFL.
Right.
If you can get more pressures without blitzing, you don't hang your secondary out to dry one-on-one. Amon-Ra St. Brown beating Byron Murphy Jr. So that trade would help you win a Super Bowl this year, and it would help you open your window even wider for 2025, 26, 27. The question is, are you okay not adding first-round talent in 2025, 26? But you're adding a first-round talent quarterback, and you'd be adding a first-round talent all-pro interior defensive tackle in Dexter Lawrence.
Well, and don't you also have to change your philosophy based on circumstances? Like you're off to a 5-1 start. You just played the best team. You got beat, but you didn't get beat badly. And there, I think on tape, there's going to be some clear things of, if we were just, and Dexter Lawrence is not, if we were just better there. It's, what if we had one of the true studs? I mean, this guy, the Giants are awful. Dexter Lawrence had 2 sacks on Sunday against Philadelphia. He has a career high 9 sacks right now.
Yeah. And they're not like, they're not like one off season away from, they're literally going to go, they benched Daniel Jones in the second half. They put in Declan's guy, Drew Lock, to create a spark when they were down by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, they're a hot mess. You're right.
They are in the draft a new quarterback phase of their franchise. So you could go to them and say, I know Dexter Lawrence is like your best player, but you're not going anywhere in the next 2 years, objectively. You're looking to go get Shadur Sanders or somebody in the draft. Let's give you guys some extra draft capital and ammunition to move up the board here. I love it. Okay. Here's my hottest Vikings take. Despite people being mad, and I'm sure he will show up in Judd's pie chart of blame, Kevin O'Connell continues to prove why he is a top 5 coach in the NFL right now. And I know, the trick play that went awry and the leads that dwindled in the Green Bay game. Let's zoom out big picture here. If I were to have told you guys 6 months ago, the Vikings are going to be 5-1 going into the Thursday night game against the Rams, with wins over the 49ers, the Texans, the Packers at Lambeau, the third best point differential in the NFL after 6 games. All of it was Sam Darnold, broken Sam Darnold as the starting quarterback. The only loss on a last-second field goal against the Lions, who are universally regarded as one of the 3 Super Bowl favorites. A team, the Lions are 27-9 over their last 36 games, going back to the middle of 2022. If I would have told you all of that 6 months ago, everybody would have said, wow, Kevin O'Connell, freaking bravo, what a job. Taking a team that everybody universally thought if they could just get to like 9 wins and sniff the playoffs, it would be a great crescendo into the window actually opening in 2025. Kevin O'Connell, despite the loss yesterday, has the 5th best win percentage of any active NFL coach right now. He took Kirk Cousins further wins and losses, a Kirk Cousins built team, than any other previous coach had. And he's now 8-7 with Josh Dobbs, Nick Mullins, Jaron Hall, and Sam Darnold at quarterback. Mm-hmm. And yes, there's definitely things that even he would self-scout and say, I wish I would have called this play here. I wish we could figure out how to operate in the 4-minute drill a little bit better. But at the end of the day, 5-1 with the only loss being a close heartbreaker against the Lions, who are right there with the Chiefs as Super Bowl favorites. This dude is doing, and he's like 20-8 in one-score games. He's doing an incredible job big picture, despite the bad taste in people's mouths off that close loss yesterday.
By the way, he is still your betting favorite to win NFL Coach of the Year. So even with the loss, still the betting favorite to win Coach of the Year. So it's not like this has slipped up. And dude, they lost by 2 in kind of a crazy back and forth haymaker game to the best team in the NFC. If they had gotten blown out, like in 2022, when they had those blowout losses, like the Cowboys came here and just embarrassed them, and they had some really bad losses. Okay, like I can sense some fraudulentness to the season. Not the case with this year's team, even with the loss yesterday.
Yeah, and when the game started kind of going in that direction, oh man, now they're down by 2 scores. They start pushing back. Sam Darnold hits just a 50-50 beautiful ball in the end zone to Justin Jefferson. So it'll be interesting if J.J. McCarthy is a level up and all of a sudden now we're dealing with a top 10 talent here, like an actual bona fide dude. Mm-hmm. What does this team look like in 2025 and beyond? But he's 8-7 with broken Sam Darnold that he had to fix. Jaron Hall, Nick Mullins, and Josh Dobbs as a starting quarterback.
Yeah, I don't get I get the frustration off the loss. I don't get the overall, like, if hate's the right word. Like, it's very weird.
Yeah, do you want to be like the Jets where you're just on a whim, or some of these other franchise, the Panthers, where just I'm mad, let's fire somebody? Or do you want to have sustainability and, like, should the Niners fire Kyle Shanahan? And I'm sure there's some idiot 49ers fans. Fire Kyle Shanahan. Oh, dude, okay, he'll get $20 million a year instantly from one of 15 different teams. Yep. And by the way, if Kevin O'Connell hit the open market right now, not that there's like a groundswell of, but if that dude hit the open market right now, there's probably 10 teams that would fire their incumbent coach and give double the money to Kevin O'Connell. So
think about the coaching strength in the division alone right now. I mean, LaFleur has done an incredible job. Dan Campbell / Ben Johnson. I mean, Ben, that
great combo.
That play calling in the Lions game, and Goff executes it. But yeah, I mean, there is some real coaching chops, and then there's the Bears.
You know, though,
defensive coaching chops, not offensive. I don't think.
I will say the Bears, ever since the players, like the leaders in the locker room, I think it was 3 weeks ago, they went to Eberflus and the offensive coordinator and said,
"You're not good.
Can we start scripting the first 15 like every other NFL team does?"
I can't.
And now they're scoring like 30 a game.
Yeah, I can't get on board with like NFC North coaching power rankings, and then there's the guy who didn't script plays. What?
You have a rookie quarterback, and you're not scripting the first 15, dude. Like Patrick Mahomes probably has the first 15 scripted by Andy Reid.
Not scripting the first 15 is like being the confident high school senior and just slacking completely. I could do my homework, but I've already been accepted into this JUCO, so I'm not going to do my homework tonight.
Yeah, you're the Bears, man. Like you've been getting D pluses for 40 years offensively.
Exactly.
So, anyways, yeah, top five coach.
He's very good, yeah.
Despite the loss, yesterday. Okay, we do have. I think it's ready to come out of the oven here, right? Judd's pie chart of blame.
Yeah, it took some work here because first, I had to mentally adjust, right? Because it's like a pie chart of blame, not a pie chart of praise. And then I had to really look deepward and see who deserves the slices. So this was a tough pie.
It's also a life lesson that even if you're trying to lose some weight and tune up, you can still enjoy some fun foods in moderation, like pie. Just don't have 2.5 pies, maybe.
With Cool Whip as well, you guys, or no?
Cool Whip.
Cool Whip.
Like pie?
Cool Whip.
Okay, I'm going to tell you how to drop that weight. Look at Sports Dad right there. That is thanks to my friends at Livia Weight Control Centers who help you drop weight. In fact, went back about a month ago for a tune-up. And I am proud to say down 15 pounds. The weight continues to come off. Why? Because Livia has a program that absolutely works from the support that you get on a daily basis, a trip-by-trip basis, to a food organization that absolutely works. And I'm not talking about like you don't go home with a ton of food and then you got to microwave it and then you can't go out. I'm talking about a food plan that actually works, that utilizes normal food. Join their nutrition plan today, and you are going to find out for yourself how great this program is. And you're going to get your first 8 weeks for free. That's right, first 8 weeks for free. How about that? Their customized nutrition program works. They also have a medical option. So no matter what you are looking for, they have you covered. And here's the greatest news: lose up to 20 pounds. So during the time it's free in your first 8 weeks. Voted #1 in weight loss year after year. Check them out. 855-GO-LIVEA, Livia.com. LIVEA.com is your first step towards weight loss that works.
What's happening on Underdog here this morning after the dust has settled, Dex?
My guy Zamson sent me this on Twitter. A $3 entry. Okay,
Oh, wow.
a $3 entry that turns
Whoa.
into 152 bones. I'm guessing there was some extra juice, some extra plus money on someone like a KJ Osborne touchdown here. Same with Hunter Henry and Brian Thomas. So he turns $3 into 152 bucks.
It's pretty good.
Not a bad little weekend there. That little extra money in your pocket from our friends at Underdog. Go download Underdog. If you haven't joined, it's a blast. And if your fantasy football season has gone to kaput, you can just draft a new team every week. That's what I would do. I would just do that. You get a 50% deposit match with promo code SCORE, SKR. Go download Underdog. Keep playing. Love people sending me all those great pick'ems.
Also, a shout out to Federated Mutual Insurance Company. Federated is like having a great offensive line protecting your business being the quarterback, I suppose. Federated stays focused on safety, preventing claims, and risk management so you can focus on growing your business. Federated's been around since 1904, based in Owatonna, Minnesota, and they cover all 50 states. In fact, their business is growing outside of Minnesota rapidly over the last 10 years or so. So if you're a Purple Daily listener or viewer outside of Minnesota and you own a business, go to federatedinsurance.com to find a full list of industries that they specialize in. Federated Insurance, where it's our business to protect yours.
The Rock knows how you feel about pie.
Okay. Chef Judd, slice her up.
All right. These slices were counted at least 5 times, so they will reach 100%, which I'm very glad about because I've already gotten off to a rough start with my name game today. So at least the math game is going to be on point. The name game won't be. All right.
It's okay, Johnny. Here we go.
Let's start. Yeah, that's right. You know what? This all starts with Randy because he calls me Jeff.
Jeff.
I lash out at the rest of the world by calling them by the wrong name. I sort of like that. Thank you very much. All right. 3 5% slices to start off with. 5%, Cam Bynum. Decleated on the Jamar Gibbs 45-yard touchdown run. Talked about it extensively to his credit post game and basically said that can't happen. I'll make the tackle next time. But that was a nice substantial gain if he's tackled, because he wasn't. It was a 45-yard touchdown. So 5% on a play, and Gibbs is really good. But you know what? This is a game that I would call good versus good. Like it's time to play. So 5% to the fact that he essentially, it looked like he was on ice skates. It looked like a player in hockey going by a guy because he's like, oh, and then he just sort of fell. So 5% Cam Bynum. 5% Stephon Gilmore. This is probably, I don't know what the grades will say. I'm not even quite sure I care. And I did ask Steph about this in the locker room on Friday, and he said, I don't look at those grades. And I said, okay, thank you. That answers my question.
Was that the extent of your discussion with him?
No, it was very interesting. A practice squad player who was listening in said, actually defended PFF. He said they know the coverages, so they know what they're looking at, but they don't know what a team is in, and that's their problem. He said their problem is they know the coverages and they based it on their assumption of what the coverage should be, but they don't know the coverage itself. So if there's any switches, they don't know that. So they're guessing on whom is covering whom.
Mm-hmm.
Very enlightening comment, I thought.
Yeah.
But 5% to Steph. He, if you recall, fell on Khalif Raymond's 21-yard touchdown reception from Goff in the third quarter. That put Raymond about as open as a human being can be on a football field. I don't know what happened there exactly. But again, it's the type of mistake that is very unfortunate, but it earns you a slice of pie, even a small one at 5%. 5%, and I sort of a hot take about this, but 5%, Johnny Munt. First of all, my guy, how on earth do you catch 4 passes for 8 yards? How do you average 2 yards per catch? And he also had a pretty big drop, or a really bad drop.
Yeah.
That's at least a 15 or 20 yard gain. So 5% to Munt. Here's my hot take. Might be, no pun intended, it might be pie in the sky, but my hot take is this. I think that game might have a different result on Sunday if TJ Hawkinson was
for sure
healthy and playing. It was a big time tight end game. Darnold was, and I don't blame him, but I mean, Darnold was looking to his tight ends consistently. Johnny Munt, 4 catches, 8 yards, a drop. Felt like a really bad, and he also got blown up a few times in blocking. I mean, he's overextended. He's not good enough to justify this much playing time, and the Vikings know that.
Well, part of the problem is he is a number 3 tight end who should be kind of a fringe. Is he active or is he not player? Does he get snaps? Does he not? But when it comes to targets, he's the number 1 tight end that you would target in the passing game above Josh Oliver. So he's number 3, but Josh Oliver is mostly a run blocking piece. And so Johnny Munt gets put in the TJ Hawkinson role oftentimes. And he's just, he's not that guy. And I think the question is, does Johnny Munt being swapped out for TJ Hawkinson, does it get you from one of these Will Reichert, like 42-yarder, the 57-yarder was a bomb, but does it convert one of those field goals to a touchdown at some point during the game?
Right.
Because you just have an extra offensive piece to get you another couple first downs or convert in the red zone, right?
Exactly. So 3 slices, 5%. Now we get into the more substantial slices of pie. 15%. This guy's gotten a ton of praise, but 15%, Brian Flores. Your defense gave up 21 points in the second quarter. And just as disturbingly, 30 quick yards coming out after Darnold didn't complete the 3rd and 4 to Jefferson. Detroit gets the ball back. They run a play. We get subsequently get the 2-minute warning right after that. And then Detroit comes and gets 30 yards on 2 plays. Flores, as we talked about on Ventline, dialed up a ton of pressure. But the counter punch by Ben Johnson, the Lions OC, as executed by Goff, answered that consistently. Yeah, we could talk about the personnel, but, as Flores said, I like to fight fire with fire. And unfortunately for him, the Lions' fire singed the Vikings more than the Vikings could singe the Lions. 50%.
Yeah. I did see one nugget, and we're still waiting on some of the data to come out from yesterday's game, but that the Vikings on the season, according to Pro Football Reference, have like a 40% blitz rate, which is second highest in the NFL. And I saw one nugget from one publication that they were at like a 55%. So they decided to ramp up their blitz rate against Jared Goff and the Lions offense. And Jared Goff came into the game leading the NFL in yards per attempt against the blitz. He is really good against the blitz, and they have a lot of answers. They got running backs who can get out there, David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown on those little like inward breaking routes. They know how to solve the blitz, and they know what answers to give Jared Goff. And it's almost like Brian Flores defiantly said, I don't care what you're good at. This is what I'm good at.
He did, yeah.
And it worked early. It kind of validated on the first drive because they were in a 3rd and 26 and they were flustered. Yeah. And he just did not shuffle to a different gear.
And no Cashman hurts a ton. Like it hurts a ton because in 2 ways. One, in the run game, Blake has done a ton. But 2, those over the middle passes, Cashman's pretty good. They just don't really have. I mean, they tried, but they don't have an answer there then. And so that hurt. But if we're going to praise you, you have to take blame 2 at times, and then 15% goes to Brian Flores. All right, 2 slices of pie left, or 3.
The Rock knows
3
how you
slices
feel
of pie
about
left.
pie.
20% Kevin O'Connell. A few things just that I jotted down immediately, okay? The Justin Jefferson usage was really weird. And I went back and looked, and it was weirder than I thought, and I already didn't like it. He got the ball 3 times in the first half. Okay, you know what? You retreat to the locker room, you make your adjustments, and clearly they said, 18 shouldn't be disappearing. Again, the contention is he's never really covered, which he showed on the touchdown catch. So you come out in the third quarter opening drive, you throw to him 4 times, including one back-to-back. The touchdown catch, which he was covered by, I think it was the nickel corner. The Vikings got that though, and Jefferson made a few grabs again, including that one on Sunday that were just spectacular. So then after that, I think one more target. If I'm not mistaken, he was 7 for 7 after that opening drive of the third quarter on targets and catches. I think it was 8, and the 8th one was the ball that Darnold threw poorly on the 3rd and 4 that sailed over Jefferson's head. Okay, there's that. There's other things too, and these are just coaching things, but what's up with the timeouts in the first half, PJ Fleck? So he burns one early. Detroit used one, and then the Vikings did. Okay, I can get with that. But then, bigger picture problem that I asked about a couple of weeks ago. Once again, the Vikings are late to get to the line of scrimmage. Play clock is ticking. Tick, tick, tick. And O'Connell says, instead of take the 5 yards, I'm going to bang a timeout. Okay, that's timeout 2. That's on you guys. That should not. This happens way too much. And then the third one was a rare, it felt like very impulsive challenge flag that came out very quickly. Ticey or Zimmer-like on the Harrison Phillips. Was that a fumble or not? But he threw that flag really quick. Well, unfortunately, that's timeout 3. So does Kevin O'Connell deserve to be fired because of the loss? Absolutely not. That's a ridiculous thing to say. But does he get some of the pie in the pie chart? Ultimately, yes. He gets 20%. That game came down to the little things, the nuances, the what did you do well, what did they do well, and ultimately, Detroit won because they did more things well, but it was close, and it was a very winnable football game.
I know you still have 2 slices left, so I don't want to get too far ahead and spoil the rest of this pie chart. But
don't spoil the pie.
And I'm with you on the timeout stuff. That Harrison Phillips play was close enough to where I think even if you wait an extra 20, I think you do throw a challenge flag there because it was real bang bang. The other 2 were kind of like you were just unorganized. There's just miscommunication or chaos, and I hate when you have to. And then when you burn a timeout, when maybe taking the 5 yards would be better strategically to keep that timeout, so you can go down and in the middle 8, right at the end of the first half, maybe you can go down and get a field goal. Right. But I want to back up to the first part of it, where you kind of put the Justin Jefferson target share on KOC. Maybe it was, but do you think the Vikings went into that game and said, okay, our strategy today is to get Justin Jefferson 8 targets and Johnny Munt 5 and have Sam Darnold run the ball 4 times? Now, Darnold had the one 19 or 20 yard run where the seas parted and it was the right move. Go get your yards. So I'm not saying he was incorrect to run the ball. But if you take the 4 Sam Darnold carries and you take the 5 Johnny Munt targets for a total of 8 yards, I don't think that was part of the KOC lab work on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday going into the week. I would put some of that stuff more on Sam Darnold. My guess is Justin Jefferson was in the flow of the play calling and the game plan and the scheme, probably supposed to get about 12 targets instead of 8, and Sam Darnold moved off of it in favor of Johnny Munt or running the ball himself. Or, by the way, he also took 4 sacks. Mm-hmm. So 4 sacks, 4 rush attempts. That's 8 pass plays called that Darnold did not pull the trigger on. And then 5 targets to your third tight end, Johnny Munt. That's 13 called pass plays that none of them went to Justin Jefferson that I don't know if I would put on Kevin O'Connell.
I will more so because I feel like there was a lack of in-game adjustment to freeing up Jefferson for possibly some short passes. Like, it became very much a tight end game, which again, if Hockenson plays, is fantastic. But I felt like the first drive of the third quarter really showed that, okay, hey, we've got him in the flow of the game now, and then it disappeared. So yeah, I mean, that's definitely, that pie can be sliced up itself. But I'm not going to let KO off the hook completely, because ultimately he is the puppeteer.
I think he would throw his puppet under the bus in a moment of truth. But
The Rock knows how you feel.
can I go
about
bold
pie.
and say, if Kirk Cousins was the starting quarterback for the Vikings in this game, Jefferson gets more than 8 targets. If Nick Mullins was the starting quarterback in this game, Justin Jefferson gets more than 8 targets.
I don't know about Cousins. Nick would. Nick for sure. Nick's 12 targets.
Maybe
minimum.
20. Maybe 20, actually.
Minimum. Oh, yeah. Of course, that's also,
There's 3 interceptions going back the other way,
15 picks
too.
or something on 20 attempts. Okay. So 20% to Kevin O'Connell. 25%, I'm going to spread it across, but I'm going to do it in order of the eye test of how I saw blame here. But 25% to the interior offensive line. Ed Ingram 1, Garrett Bradbury 2, Blake Brandel 3. And that's just based on how much I saw guys on their butts on the ground. That's just based on the fact that Ingram got a holding call that I guess we all agree was through an attempt at self-preservation. I mean, he literally was destroyed. So he leads the list, but the Detroit Lions entered that game, and their defense is tough, and they're a tough team, but they entered that game for the first time without Aiden Hutchinson, okay? So, like, you're free of this concern. You're free. Hey, Vikings, it's unfortunate for Aiden Hutchinson and Lions, but you are free of the concern of a guy who has 7.5 of their 15 sacks going into that game. And Phil, as you said just a moment ago, Darnold is sacked 4 times. He, by the way, now has been sacked 4 times in 3 separate games. But I know it's a short week. Reisner, it sounds like, is set to go. I'm not saying that I can guarantee he's going to step in and be great, but I'll go back to what we talked about during that line. This has to be just about it for Ed. It has to be. He's getting, because when he gets, it's not that he gets blown up on a play-by-play basis. It's when he does, they're catastrophic mistakes, including him falling and almost taking out his quarterback yesterday, which was a totally separate thing. But anyway, it just feels like the Vikings have probably reached their patience, the end of their patience with Ed. And if Dalton Reisner can just hold up more often, I think you got to try it.
Yeah. So a couple things, the PFF grades, it's funny because they do live in-game grades now as of 2 weeks ago. But then I think once the game is over, I think they do it for like engagement maybe. Okay. Once the game is over, they then like shut it down, put them up under review so they can look at them overnight. I don't know how it works. But as you were giving your pie chart, they just put the grades up from yesterday's game. And like we talked about on Thursday last week, massive grain of salt here, but it's the only publication that gives you some of this behind-the-curtain data.
Right.
And all 32 teams are funding PFF to get the data, so it's not perfect, but it's the data. Mm-hmm. Ed Ingram was the lowest graded offensive player for the Vikings yesterday. He had a 38 PFF grade. He only gave up 1 pressure, but he took 2 penalties that would have been pressures, and then he had the weird play like you were saying where he didn't give up a pressure, but he like stumbled into Sam Darnold and almost took his knees out. Bradbury gave up the most pressures, 4 pressures, 3 quarterback hurries, a quarterback hit. So yeah, your instinct was right and aligned with PFF here. I just say, what's the harm in giving Dalton Reisner a shot? Now, on the Sam Darnold side, usually when the pocket is clean, he's awesome. And when he gets pressured, historically, he's a train wreck. It was kind of the opposite. He didn't get pressured that much yesterday. He was 5 of 6 when under pressure for 105 yards, a touchdown, no picks. So I think the Addison long throw was a pressure.
It was.
And then the Jefferson touchdown pass was a pressure, and he nailed both those throws.
It was.
When he was kept clean, so when he was pressured, he was 17.5 yards per attempt. When he was clean, it was only 7 yards per attempt, including the interception. The interception was a clean pocket throw. He just did not see.
Oh, he missed the branch.
He did not see Branch coming down from his perch. So
absolutely.
So that's kind of the opposite of what normally happens. He's normally awesome when he's kept clean and terrible when he's under pressure. So.
All right, if you're doing the math along with Sports Dad right now, we're at 75%. So there's 25% left to go. Does it all go to one guy? Does it go to a few guys? No, it all stays and goes to, come on down, the aforementioned slinging Sammy Darnold.
Wow.
The Rock knows how you feel
Now-
about pie.
Now, I want to be fair here because Sam Darnold, actually, it's a little bit of a tale of two halves. The first half, just normal stat sheet stats. 9 for 12, 75 yards, and a pick that was a bad pick. Like, there's no justifying it. It was a bad pick. Aaron Jones is wide open in the flat. Addison was there, but I mean, you got to see. And look, if you have a problem with seeing defenders, like, let's just say that's a problem. It's a bad problem to have as a quarterback, but let's just say that's a problem. You have to be aware of that. Like, that throw can't be like, oh, sorry, didn't see him again. Hey, the Niners game, sorry. So 9 of 12, 75 yards, a pick. The offense definitely stalled, and Darnold had plenty to do with that. In the second half, 13 for 15, 184 yards, and a touchdown. When the Vikings went into the locker room at the half, Darnold's passer rating was 55.9. By the end of the game, it was 103.5. So I'm not going to dump on him completely and say
he wasn't
was not
terrible.
garbage. He was not garbage. He did not have a complete game, though. And there were enough things, including, and this is where he gets dinged, I think. So this is why he gets the biggest slice. The first half and the end of the game. That pass, I mean, O'Connell came as close as, God bless him, he's going to come to saying, we got to complete that 3rd and 4 to Jefferson.
It was there.
He tried very hard. He was O'Connell was going down the path post game, and then he sort of corrected himself. But that pass, I mean, again, Justin Jefferson is all about area balls. If it's in, or zip code balls. If it's in a zip code, he's going to catch it. And if that ball is down just a little bit, yes, it's a hard throw, but you are paid on Sundays to make hard throws. So with the first half, and don't forget too, that was 3rd and 4 at the beginning of a series, right? So that's a 3 and out now. So now you are giving Detroit the ball back and basically saying sorry. When if you had a competent drive, you could have gotten the clock down to damn near nothing or scored. Anyway, Darnold, 25% the first half, not sufficient. And really that last drive, really, really the type of drive where I think it's fair to say, can this guy do this?
Yeah.
Like, big game, can this guy do this?
I think I agree on your overall, you will take this Sam Darnold performance where he gives you 260-ish yards, about 10 yards per attempt, which is awesome. And he makes a tight window touchdown pass throw to Jefferson and a 103.5 passer rating. And you know what? You would take that for 17 games. But in the highest leverage moments, starting with that brutal interception where you know this is going to be first team to 30-ish points, kind of a back and forth.
Yep. And
you throw that interception, and it wasn't like you were throwing a 50-50 ball and it got tipped or something. It was just you didn't see the safety coming down. It was 100% on you. But the failed 2-point conversion, and I'm not saying he's 100% to blame for all of these things, but you got to find a way to make one of these work. Either don't throw the pick, convert the 2-point conversion, hit the pass to Jefferson on the 3rd and 4, and if all three of those things go awry, which they did, you still have the ball with 15 seconds left at the 30-yard line. Enough time to get a quick throw off and get your guys up. A 20-yard completion. The Lions are playing like Hail Mary prevent defense. They're giving you the middle of the field. it was there if you pulled the trigger a second or two early, and they're not scrambling. I know it would have been for like a 68-yard field goal, and that's not a given. It would have been an NFL record. But you can't go 0 for 4 on all these things in the high leverage spots. Brutal interception, failed 2-point conversion, missing on the third and fourth throw, and then hanging onto the ball too long with 15 seconds left. You're playing one of the best teams in the league. This is a Super Bowl air test for you.
Yeah.
And Jared Goff was very clearly better in the biggest moments. Not a shock, because Sam Darnold has largely had an underwhelming career, but it's a litmus test to show you where he was at.
Give Justin a chance, right? Like, that's all I'm saying is give him a chance. He's probably going to catch it, and now it's first down, and you're cooking. So, yeah, that was it just makes you – that game was a great sort of barometer look at, okay, how do you stack up against the best? And, fun game. First half was not so great, but the second half I thought was great football. And it's like, okay, where would you, if this was, let's just say it's January instead. If this was January, where would you possibly fall short? And as I watched that ball sail, I thought that's where you fall short.
And also just on the target share thing. So Sam threw 27 passes, but they called 35 passes. So about 20% of the called pass attempts turned into sacks, which some of that's on offensive line, but also sacks are more of a quarterback stat than people give credit. And then 4 rushing attempts. Can we get a greater chunk of those 8 that went for sacks or carries out of your hand and into the hands of Justin Jefferson?
Yeah.
So, again, he wasn't terrible, but if it's a back and forth heavyweight fight, you're not playing the Giants here. You're playing the Lions. You're the Chiefs if you aspire to get that far. Mm-hmm. So Judd goes with 7 slices.
The Rock knows how you feel about pie.
5% each to Cam Bynum, Stephon Gilmore, and Johnny Munt. 15% B-Flow. 20% Kevin O'Connell. 25% interior offensive line. 25% to Darny Dimes, Sam Darnold.
Yep.
But 100% to your glorious new deck, potentially, that you were sitting on if you made the right decision by going to uglydeck.com earlier on this year.
Yep, because our friends at Ugly Deck are on a mission to rid the world of all of those terrible-looking decks. So book a free deck estimate this month and get 3 free footings included. Just need a small deck tweak, get up to $1,000 off installation, or a DIY deck package, and your deck can look exactly like that. Look at these decks. For the DIYer, Ugly Deck can install your footings and ledger, save you from the mess and frustration on the hardest part of building a deck. If you want the top carpenters and maintenance-free decks to build your entire deck, that can be done too, because they build year-round. So book a free estimate today for a new deck this year. That's right, be sitting on a new deck. Right now it's gorgeous outside. If there is no better time in this state to be on a deck than right now on gorgeous fall days, sipping a beer and watching some football. Go to uglydeck.com to book your free estimate. Uglydeck.com.
So last night, flipping around, and I had the 65-inch Roku Pro Series 4K TV just rocking last night. Had Sunday Night Football, WNBA Finals Game 5, and then NLCS all on YouTube TV at the same time because they give you the tri-box for those games. Roku is America's #1 TV streaming platform, and now they offer a new line of smart TVs as well. You can even visit the sports tab on your Roku home screen to browse live and upcoming games and see where they're streaming across popular channels. You don't have to go digging through all the different apps if you don't want to. It's your home for football season as well. Hours and hours and hours every weekend, I feel like. And also Monday night, Thursday night in the Mackey household with that Roku TV, gloriously rocking sports. Go to Roku.com to learn more or shop at a retailer near you. Let's go around the room here. When the Vikings win, we give you nitpicks. When they lose, we give you silver linings to keep it all balanced here. So, Dex, give us a silver lining.
Thank God for Aaron Jones and the fact he was able to play yesterday. He rips off the big 30-yard run to put him up early. He has, again, even with a bad hip or hamstring, whatever, maybe it's both, whatever he's still dealing with, he still puts up 100-plus all-purpose yards. I don't think that game is particularly close if Aaron Jones can't go yesterday. I think that game is probably more of a blowout win for the Detroit Lions. So Aaron Jones, we'll see what his status is going into the Rams game. This is always such, with it being a short week, isn't it more like walkthroughs and very light practices, just in general, with them trying to gear up for Thursday Night Football?
Yeah, like one practice, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So if they don't have Aaron Jones, I think that game is a complete just disaster for the Vikings. So, man, he's damn good, dude. He's literally the linchpin that keeps that offense going.
Yeah.
God, that run he ripped off, the whole time I'm like, don't pop your hammy. Don't pop your hammy. Don't blow your hip out. Here we go. Okay, touchdown.
The bank vault, too. He vaulted that high. That was impressive. On a bad hammy?
I thought that might make the sports dad nervous, though. You got the bad hip, bad hammy, and you're unnecessarily jumping up into the crowd.
No, I actually didn't get nervous at all. But that is quite the leap. Like, that wall is high. That was impressive stuff.
What's your silver lining?
Oh, it's obvious, right? Big Leg Bill, Will Reichert.
Yeah.
So just a couple of things. One, he hits from 57, 48, and 42 yards.
42, yeah.
On the 48-yarder, I like looked up, saw it go through, and thought, of course. And then I looked and said, that was almost 50 yards. So like I treat it like a chip shot. Like, this is how ridiculous it's gotten. Big Leg Bill is now 12 of 12 on field goal attempts, 18 of 18 on extra points. And by the way, before you laugh and say, oh, it's an extra point, think about the troubles this franchise has had since the extra point got moved out.
Blair Walsh was cut in large part because he went through an extra point slump that lasted like 2 years.
Yes, and guys could make field goals. If it was a field goal attempt from the exact same spot, they're fine. If it was an extra point, they're mind bleeped. Reichert has just been, he's a cyborg. He's a cyborg. It's incredible. And look, I know that it was 70 plus yards, but if you had come to me yesterday and said at the end of that game, as there's a second left, and said, okay, Darnold, Hail Mary pass, which by the way, he can make, his arm's good. If he can get the ball off, though, that's the question. Or Reichert, caution to the wind, just try it. I'm taking door number 2 still.
On the 73-yarder?
Yes. I'm taking door number.
I would have too.
I'm giving him a shot. And if he misses, he misses. But like if the odds are infinitesimal on both, right? So they're very small on both. And you're like, okay, which one would you give like just a little point more of an odd to? Big Leg Bill?
The only thing we don't know is what is the longest kick he's ever not made, but like gotten to the crossbar. And if do they have because a lot of those dudes in practice, they would never try it in a game for a million different.
Yeah.
There's also there's very few times where you would ever attempt a 65+ yard field goal because you don't want it. There's a good chance it gets blocked, and you'd never do it in like the middle of the second quarter.
Right. You
would only attempt it. And by the way, you would probably not do it at the end of the first half either because you don't want it to get blocked and go the other way.
Vikings did once.
Right.
Exactly.
Against the
guy
Chargers.
Returned for a touchdown. Yep.
The only time you would do it is at the end of a game. So there's very few chances and very few kickers that have a leg that big. But do they maybe have some intel that when he's goofing around in practice, the furthest he's ever even hit the crossbar or gone wide left, but it's gone over the crossbar is from 70, where it's like he physically cannot kick a ball 73 yards. That's the only thing that would get.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea.
If you've seen him at all come close, I think it would have been worth a shot. And then the adrenaline that you're in front of 66,000 people.
Yes.
So if they don't get, that's why I know. See, I'm not to pile on Sam Darnold, but dude, get the ball out with fit. Completing the pass is secondary to completing the pass with time enough to spike it in that situation. And he's still playing patty cake with like 10 seconds, 9 seconds. Get it out so you can spike it and have a real chance instead of a scramble drill. And guys, they couldn't even look to see like who was lined up the right way. My silver lining is twofold. TJ Hawkinson, one of the 5 best pass-catching tight ends in the league, is coming back either this Thursday or soon. And Thursday, for a lot of different reasons, is going to be a war. It's a short week. It's a really well-coached Rams team. They might be getting Cooper Kupp back in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew Stafford is no joke, so that is a tough game. And I'll give you that. But then you get the pseudo bye week because you get the full weekend to rest up. Home against Indianapolis. Well-coached, tough team, 4 wins, but that's the least accurate quarterback in the entire league in Anthony Richardson. I think Brian Flores is going to give that dude a really hard time. And I think the Vikings have the speed on defense to sort of mirror and shadow him and spy him more than other teams would. Jacksonville, Tennessee, at Chicago's tough. Arizona, Atlanta. I mean, your schedule, there's a lot of games here that you should be favored in going forward. You ran the gauntlet of San Francisco, Houston, at Green Bay, weird London game against Aaron Rodgers, and then home against Detroit. And you finished 5-1 in that stretch. And now your schedule, it's not easy, but your schedule lightens up on paper. So silver lining, Hockenson coming back as you emerge from the gauntlet part of your schedule.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I also think Richardson playing here is going to be extremely tough.
Yeah.
Like Jared, kudos, Jared Goff. That place was rocking at
He's
times.
very poised, though.
And
he's
again,
really good.
I'll say this. That game is close to me to the 2017 conference championship game with Drew Brees. Like Drew Brees, the Saints were down at the half. They looked like they were a mess. And Drew Brees came out and was like, oh, no, this will be good. And Goff had the same demeanor and the same poise. So Jared Goff is not the norm. Like what he did was not the norm. I think a kid like Richardson gets flustered here because this place gets loud and it certainly ain't going to be filled with Colts fans.
Yeah. There is Drew Brees is an interesting comparison. I mean, Goff was like the number 1 overall pick. Brees was a second rounder, but both teams were kind of skewed from their original team.
Yeah.
In Los Angeles, right? Because Chargers were the team that bailed on Drew Brees.
Yep.
And then the Rams, obviously. Now, Goff went to a Super Bowl with the Rams. Brees never went that far with the Chargers. But both teams had to be cast aside, questioned, and then they land with their second team with great infrastructure, and their careers take off. And that's kind of what's happening to Jared Goff here. But, yeah, it'll be fun to see these teams play again, and maybe even a third time if we're lucky. Maybe they play twice in January, huh?
Yeah. I mean, yes. And if they do, I'm just thinking off the top of my head that Dexter Lawrence in the middle of the Vikings defensive line would be a nice piece to have.
Full Rams.
Full Rams, yeah.
Make the call from the Rams stadium.
You know what? It's easy to say that 2 years ago, right? When you're like in this competitive rebuild and you're like, yeah, full Rams. I mean, that's a lot. But now that you're here, and don't forget the guy who went full Rams, or at least was brought along for the ride, was Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah. You asked Kevin O'Connell how it felt to go full Rams as he's having confetti fall on his head.
I wonder if Crazy's changed his tune there. Like it's one thing to be like, we'll never do that. We're rebuilding this thing competitively. And now it's like, hold on a second, dude, you're 5-1 and you just saw what you need.
You're not even under contract really beyond. So he's not even under contract in 2026 right now, right? You don't care 45. About that. That first round pick in 2026, you're not even under contract for that right now. Who cares? Just toss it in.
Well, plus the dude, Dexter Lawrence is here through 2027 then.
If Dexter Lawrence was 29 or 30, I would say, no, don't do it. But he fits the timeline.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
And he's not even that expensive. Like I think his highest cap hit is like $26 or $27 million.
Yeah. No, he is a very reasonably priced player for what he brings. And the Giants are a dumpster fire who need assets.
And then you could, at some point, before paying Jordan Addison, you could flip him for like a second round pick in a year if you need. I mean, there's ways to get draft capital back as you build this thing. Anyways, all right. Hopefully this has been therapeutic after a tough Vikings loss. Vikings vent line yesterday.
Don't feel bad about that loss.
Dude, this is the NFL, man.
You're
not going 17-0.
Yeah,
the Bills have a couple losses.
Get back up, folks.
The Ravens started 0-2. Like, the NFL is...
It's a tough loss, but that's okay. You're a good team. You're still a good team.
And RIP to Declan's Tom Selleck mustache.
I miss it. I miss it.
I think you should start growing back.
Stacy might be happy about it, but I miss it. Damn it.
Yeah. Oh, Declan's wife, Carol, is going to be mad about this one.
That's the highlight of my day. I'm sorry.
All right. We've got Before I Die on the Purple Daily podcast feeds and YouTube channel later today, Meat and Potatoes tomorrow. And then our schedule's a little bit different this week leading up to a Thursday game, but we're going to cram a lot of shows in the next 2 or 3 days. And then Vikings Vent Line Thursday night edition right after Vikings-Rams are finished up. These have been our hottest Vikings takes. Chef Judd with a pie chart. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.